Got it. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to read a shortened version of the required statement. So good afternoon. Welcome to the Madaket Area Plan Work Group meeting. This open meeting of the Madaket Area Plan Work Group is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Please note, this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. The chair will conduct roll call for attendance and on all votes. Zoom participants are asked to identify themselves when speaking, and your name will be noted on the screen under your Zoom connection, which I believe we have set up properly. All Zoom participants are asked to mute their device unless you're addressing the committee, and that would go for your phones as well, please, your cell phones. For public comment, after members have spoken, the chair may afford public comment to members of the public who have joined the meeting via Zoom for items not on the agenda. So please unmute now because I'm going to conduct a roll call and you will have to respond in the affirmative, please. Ethan Devine, he's not here. Cormac Collier, not attending. Tom Erickson, not attending. Leslie Forbes.
Present.
Peter Haffenraffer.
Present.
Thank you. David Madigan.
Present.
Thank you. Bruce Mandel is here. Michael Maynard.
Present.
Good. Emily Molden had sent a message that she's not available. Kitty Pockman.
Present.
Thank you. Catherine Slattery. Not present. Lars Soderberg.
Present.
Thank you. And the NPEDC appointed liaison member, Joseph Topham.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, we've taken attendance now. I am going to exercise a chairman's prerogative by changing the batting order of the agenda a little bit, because when I typed it up, I was still learning, and I think I didn't make the right kind of a batting order. My first question, though, since we've just taken roll call, Joe, I'm not clear yet as to the status of an appointed liaison member. Are you an ad hoc member who is privileged to comment on issues? Or are you an ad hoc member that is supposed to vote on issues that we're voting on?
I believe to vote on.
Excuse me?
I believe to vote on. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, and the other part of it is, Bruce, is my family has land in Madaket, so I'm one of
you. Special, thank you. Okay, so you're a voter, so that's very helpful, and that clears up a question that I had. Okay, I'm going to make item number 2 on the agenda is the acceptance of the agenda. So could we get a
Moved. So moved. So moved. Accept the agenda in the rearranged order.
okay, who is I've lost the picture now.
That was Leslie.
Yeah.
Well, how did I lose the picture of this whole meeting? This is not a good thing.
No.
Bill, what happened?
We can hear you, so you're still there. You just, it's hidden. So click your Zoom tab.
I still see you.
Go to view,
Oh, you
man.
can, good. I can't see anyone.
Go
So
to
Bruce,
view.
you could
Oh,
I
I have
click
to
on?
click on Zoom. Hold on.
There you go.
Ah, gotcha.
All right, when you go off to look for something in your computer, it buries that.
Okay, thank you. So Leslie made a motion and it was seconded by someone. Good.
I'm Michael.
Michael, good. Okay, item number 3, I'm going to make the approval of the minutes from the September 12th meeting, which Leslie prepared and I sent out to the folks on the committee so they would have them to review when we discuss those.
Bruce, point of order, you've got a motion, you made seconded, you didn't vote.
On the
Agenda.
Approval of
The
the
agenda.
agenda.
Oh, I thought Leslie voted on, made a motion and Michael
He
Maynard.
moved it, I seconded it, we still have to vote.
Oh, thank you. I'm learning. Okay, I'm gonna go down the list of the people present. Leslie Forbes,
Yes, vote, yes.
Peter Heffenreffer,
Yes.
David Madigan. David, are you there?
Go to the next one.
Earth
This is
to
the
David.
easy
Sorry,
part.
sorry, yes, I couldn't find the mute button. That was a yes.
Okay, Bruce Mandel, yes. Michael Maynard,
Yes.
Kitty,
Yes,
Mr. Topham.
Yes, sir. Aye.
Okay. So
Question, does the cat vote?
4 times. She's got 4 paws.
Funny. Okay, so now, thank you for that point of order. Now we can go to the approval of the minutes, which you all have copies of. And do I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Michael Maynard, thank you.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Joe Topham, thank you. Okay, now I'm going to do a roll call again. Leslie Forbes,
Yes,
Peter Heffenreffer,
Yes.
David Madigan,
Yes,
Bruce Mandel, yes, Michael Maynard,
Yes.
Kitty,
yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Okay, so the
I'm
minute-
here too, Bruce, Tom Erickson.
oh,
Oh, Tom is here. Welcome, Tom. Thank you.
And Bruce, not that my voice is that important, but for some reason you're not asking me to vote, so
Who?
But I approve, Lars, but
Oh, I
yeah,
haven't gotten to you yet. So Lars is yes. And Tom, did you hear what we're voting on?
No, I got in 5 minutes late.
That's okay. We're voting on the acceptance of the minutes at this time from the last meeting, which I
Okay.
sent them. So you're a yes. Thank you. Okay, I can put that away.
Mr. Chair, just make sure you note when Tom came in. I know he just said 5 minutes late, but
I did. I did.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, the next item I put on the agenda was an item I called election of officers, and the reason I put this on there was that last meeting I was designated as the chairperson, and no other positions were designated or filled. Since that time, as I tried to learn more and more how these meetings work, it was suggested by several town employees and administration that we consider using officers, in our case, president, a number of vice presidents, and a secretary. So based on that, I would like to ask our MP and EDC representative, Joe Topham, to perhaps review this suggestion with NPEDC, and we can have all of this cleared up on our next agenda if Joe gets back to us. Does that sound okay with everyone?
What's the issue? I mean, we're
I didn't
concerned we're
have-
not allowed to have officers?
I didn't have an issue, but when I was speaking with Maureen Coleman, who is the open meeting law
Yep.
guru, and Erica was there talking with me. They asked why I was using chairperson and co-chairpersons when an organization like this should have a president, vice presidents, and a secretary. And I said I really didn't know the answer, but I would try to find out. And that's what this item is about.
Okay,
So the only way I could figure this out was to see if Joe could reach out perhaps before the next NPEDC meeting and mention this. And as an aside, you know, we're trying to have a little chat with some of the people at NPEDC and about how things work and whatnot, because they thought there were some misunderstandings, and we've reached out to them with dates and we're waiting to hear back. And I thought this could be one of the items for discussion during that chat as well. So I think I'd like to have a motion that we ask Joe to perhaps review this with NPDC and get back to us, or maybe discuss it when we have our chat. So
Yeah, I'll gladly do that if you, yeah,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we don't need a motion for that. Let's just do it.
yeah, I'll just do it.
that's
Yeah, I
fine.
think that's right.
Makes it easier. Thank you so much. Okay, so at this point, I would be asking for any public comment for items on the agenda. And since there are no members of the public participating in the meeting, I'd like to handle it the same way we just handled the prior item and just say, you know, okay, there were no public comments, let's move on. The next item on, say again.
great.
Agreed.
Okay, so with that, Leslie, you could record that, please. The next item on the agenda, I had written down a composition and makeup of the work group for a possible letter to NPDC. And basically, my concern here was that we had 14 members and we're now down to 12. And NPDC seemed to think that perhaps we need to go back to 14, which is a little bit difficult to manage. I mean, 12 is hard to manage. So I wanted to have this discussion with NPEDC when we had our chat. And one of the other issues is, I'm reading from my notes, so bear with me here. That's about it. So my question was, are we supposed to have, are we going to fill these vacancies? Are we going to advertise to the whole island for interested people, and perhaps have people who are not Madaket related apply and be appointed by NPDC? And when the
Bruce?
applications come in, will we be able to discuss it? So there are a lot of issues I'd like to go through, Joe, when we have our chat.
Bruce, I'd like to make a motion in this meeting.
Okay,
I'd like to move that we keep the membership at 12 people. They are approved persons. There was no limit, there was no set number that was given to us when we set up our MAP work group. As far as I can tell, work groups are of varying sizes. There's nothing in the rules, the laws, the guidelines, whatever, that say a work group must be between 10 and 15 or 10. So I would, since we already have a work group and we're underway, we've had 2 resignations. You are quite correct in saying that a 12-member group is still representative, and it's enough to handle. So my motion is to keep the group at 12.
do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Lars seconded. Can we have some discussion? Any discussion on this item?
I'll
That makes
just-
total sense to me.
That's what's supposed to happen right now. So yeah,
Yeah, I just add what Leslie said. There was no magical number to 14. This was just a bunch of volunteers that raised their hand and said, and cared enough to spend time and energy. And I think we're moving forward.
Well, thank
I think,
you.
Group has worked well in the past, so I don't see any need to have an odd number.
And I would agree with Lars and Michael and Leslie.
Is there any sense of why we were asked to go back to 14? Is there something out
Well,
there
I
that
think
we're,
I think we can find out if there is a mission statement, so to speak. And if, I know on the Admiralty, it's got to be 7 to 11, people on a board. So we can just go back. But I think for now, if we're still moving forward, that's what's important to the NPDC. So, but right now, I think just keep moving forward.
Thank you for that. Kitty,
Kitty?
did you want to?
I just had a quick question because I did read through those notes and I noticed that one of the comments was individuals who represent organizations in the area shouldn't be voting members of the committee. So I just wanted to clarify that with everyone. How I can participate. If you want me to participate, what's the best route for that?
Well, the reason we had that note was that several of the members who are on the committee who have large tracts of land and are, very interested in Madaket, like you, Kitty.
Yeah.
And Emily, whose organization holds conservation restrictions on many, many acres, and Cormac, same thing. Most of these meetings, Emily and Cormac have been busy. So the thought was, well, maybe these organizations need to be either ad hoc or perhaps they ought to have the authority, maybe from NPEDC, to appoint a fully voting alternate when they can't make a meeting. For example, Emily can't be here today, but perhaps another member of our organization would be available, and Emily could notify us that so-and-so is going to represent the Land and Water Group at this meeting. And I guess I need to find out from NPEDC if that's acceptable for alternates to be recognized during a specific meeting when circumstances present themselves, so that the assigned person, in this case Emily or Cormac, know ahead of time, we can't make it, we have a conflict.
Bruce, I want to hear from Joe. Yeah.
No, I mean, I will say Emily Molden is always trying to attend every meeting. I think this is a circumstance where she's in Hawaii running a marathon. So otherwise, I would say that's really not going to be an option. She's amazing. And I'm kind of surprised Cormac's not here because he's another gentleman that shows up and is present. So, I mean, I was running late because I was having a conversation with Holly Backus at the Plus Department. So I don't know how that will be perceived at the NPDC, but I think that, the people that are on the board, you want that consistency. You want that same voice is kind of my thinking, but you guys.
That's a good comment. So I'll just withdraw my comments about the ad hoc nature or appointing representative. It's just an item of discussion.
Bruce, I've got my hand
You
up.
raised another issue. Oops, sorry, go ahead, Leslie.
I'd like to go up one higher level of thinking, of decision making here, and that I think it's important that we have these what is this? This is where I disagree with the guidelines. I think it's important that we have them as members, not just as public attending, because they own and control so much land in the Madaket area. So that I want the Linda Loring Nature Foundation with a representative on this. I want a representative from the Conservation Foundation and from the Land and Water Council. I don't care whether they send a representative or whether it's them in person, as long as the representative has been clued in as to what's going on. But I think my issue is more with the guideline that I'm not sure what the draft guidelines are saying. Are they saying that people who are serving in leadership positions that are not directly government related can be used as a consulting basis, but again, only with permission of NPEDC? These people are on our committee. I'd like them to stay on our committee. I think there's a valid reason for them to be on it because they are such large landowners and their decisions affect us. Our decisions affect them. It makes sense to me. I'm sure Sconset has the same problem with the Sconset Trust and all the property that they own. We're not alone in this. So
I
how do
strongly
people
agree
feel
with-
about that?
This is an important point. And when we went several years ago to discuss the amended Madaket Area Plan Work Group, and those names were on our list, they were intentionally on the list because, you know, we're trying to amend the ancient 2006 boundary. And we were told if we wanted to amend the boundary, we should present it. And by amending the boundary, as you mentioned, Leslie, there are hundreds and hundreds of acres in the amended boundary that are controlled by these entities. And we wanted representatives on our new work group because of that. And because of their influence in water quality and protecting the aquifer, and protecting the watersheds out here. And because of that, they were approved for our work group. And I would prefer that they stay fully voting and fully attending. My only concern was if they couldn't because of other conflicts, would they be allowed to appoint an alternate? But I'll withdraw that question and we'll deal with it as it comes up.
Let's finish the motion and vote on it. And if someone has an issue with the 12 people on the board, they're gonna have to come back and tell us.
Okay, Leslie, would you repeat your motion, please?
I better write this down. I move that we keep the Madaket Area Plan Work Group at 12 persons as already approved and accepted by the NPEDC.
Okay, do we have a second to this motion?
I seconded that one.
Lars has seconded it. Any further discussion on this motion? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move to a roll call vote. Hold on, I have to find my list of people here. God bless brain fog. Here it is. Thank you. Tom Erickson,
Yes.
Leslie Forbes,
Yes.
Peter Heffenrep,
Yes.
David Madigan.
Yes.
Thank you. Bruce Mandel, yes. Michael Maynard,
Yes.
Kitty Pockman,
Yes.
Lars Soderberg,
Yes.
Joe Topham.
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, one abstention. So the motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ayes, one abstention. Thank you. Okay,
Bruce, with regard to membership, I'd like to bring another topic up for discussion, whether we should move it or not, but I feel it's important that the group, as currently constituted and going forward, is composed of Madaket residents or representatives of organizations which have land holdings in Madaket. I think that's the group. It's a small work group. It should be representative of people who live here, work here, or have significant financial interest in this area, as opposed to people from other parts of the island.
well, Michael, let me.
So I haven't put that as a motion. I wanted to raise it as a topic of discussion, but see where people are on that.
Well, we're a little bit out of order on the agenda, but let me go through some past history quickly. There are some other landholders out here. For example, the Madaket Land Trust, Audubon, like that. I had previously asked them of their interest to participate, and both of them said no. So I didn't want to put them on the spot. But I do strive to keep them informed. So they're not just, I mean, we have the major landholders out here on the committee, on the work group. But when we, going back several years, when we're talking about amending the boundary, obviously the Madaket Land Trust has about, well, I don't know how many acres they have now, but the coastal erosion, but they've got about 45 acres. And Audubon has 1 or 2 properties. And, you know, the town has some acreage too. But this is what we presented to NPEDC. We had that discussion, I believe, with them, and this is what was approved.
Making a different point. I'm not suggesting that any organization other than private landowners who has property here has to be on the work group. I'm suggesting that the membership of the work group should be limited to either citizens who own property here or organizations that own property here who have a significant interest in what goes on out here.
I got you. Well,
My point is that I think I wanted to discuss whether going forward, right now we're all Madaket in one form or another, and whether or not as membership might change over time, we want to keep it that way. There's some language in the guidelines that talked about people from other parts of the island being appointed and so forth. And I just wanted to discuss it as a group and to perhaps vote on it, because I think it should be, I think that the members of the work group should be residents or owners or involve representatives of large scale property owners, conservation and so forth.
Well, it's very well taken. In the next item we're going to discuss, I believe that some of the comments that were compiled upon our review of the draft guidelines included a comment or two about that.
Joe, you had a comment?
Yeah, but it's okay through you and Mr. Chair. Last meeting, there was a comment made about an advisory board member that was not from Madaket, and I understand why that was done, but at the same point, I don't think that was proper. I felt that should have been someone from the Madaket area. I mean, we're out there all the time. You know, I'm riding my bike there, you know, every weekend, etc. But I really think that you guys have the eye of what's going on in Madaket, and I think it's important. So, you know, when we do put the ad out, you all are going to put a suggestion forward that, you know, if there's say 6 people and 3 are from Madaket, you're going to say we prefer these 3 people. So you know, we kind of control who would be, you know, stepping up and being on part of this board. And I don't think it comes down to favoritism or political beliefs or anything like that. I really think it's going to come down to this person's best for Madaket is going to work in Madaket's best interest. So that's why I think that's what we should be looking at. So I agree with you all on that point.
Isn't this a moot point unless someone says, no, we have to increase the membership from 12?
I think if someone stepped down in the next month or 2 or something,
Yeah.
Okay.
When you read the guidelines, the draft guidelines, they talk about possibly people being appointed from other parts of the island. And I want to address that in advance. It's not an issue today, but it could become an issue as membership changes over time.
Establishing our position makes sense.
At one of the NPEDC meetings, Mary Longacre said, "Oh, of course, we're going to turn to you for your input. We're not going to rush push something on you that you don't want." And I think that the reason it has to be, Joe, you could confirm this. I think the reason why the guidelines say it has to be advertised in the Inky is for open meeting law reasons. But I would like a definitive statement. I would prefer a definitive statement along Michael's lines that and you could do this generically, it doesn't have to be just Madaket, that
West End or within our boundaries or something like that, but
that people would, applicants, I mean, you can always put requirements for job applicants down, and these are volunteers, but you could put something down about residents or large property holdings for people to be appointed to a work group. That's not very elegant language, but I would feel much more comfortable about that. Particularly, as I recall, the reason why we had someone from away, from another part of the island on the historic Madaket advisory board was because nobody else from Madaket applied, and so we have to fill it. And I can see something like that happening again, and I would just feel more comfortable if the guidelines, the draft guidelines that the NPDC put together had that requirement in it, that advertise in the Inky, but candidates for work groups for whatever part of the island it is should, must, shall, I don't know what the proper verb is, have residency or
Property.
interest in property holdings or whatever in the area to which they want to vote.
I think times change, people change, politics change, and I just think that this group, the notion of a Madaket area plan work group should consist of Madaket people who with significant interest in Madaket, whether residents or owners of property out here.
I'd like to just chime in. I absolutely agree with that, the sentiment. What's the term in insurance that you can't take out an insurance policy, something you don't have an interest in? So I think if we use something generic like that, rather than specifying you have to be a landowner or whatever, but just capture the idea that you have to have legitimate reason to be engaged in it.
So, Mr. Chairman, may I? Just to zoom out, I think that Leslie's bringing up a really good point that it's not, don't be specific to Madaket. It should be every area plan should have that within the village, within the boundaries that have been created by the NPDC. So I think that you found a something that was missing within the guidelines. So I definitely think that this should be brought. I can talk to Barry Rector tomorrow and say, listen, I think we kind of missed something. We need to add this on and get it maybe hopefully for the next meeting. And then that's voted on by us. And then
Joe,
that
the reason
so
I'm sorry, the reason I said Madaket specific, because there might be other parts of the island, other work groups that feel differently. For example, downtown. There are people have significant interests in ownership downtown who own a building or whatever, and they live someplace else. So I just wanted something to reflect our interests, and others may differ, other groups around the island. I don't know.
Michael, I can tell you right now.
And that's up to you. I mean, if the NPEDC decided they wanted to apply this to all the work groups, that's fine with us.
No, I think
really
you guys discovered something that was missing. And I can tell you right now, in doing some design work in Sconset or in Walwinnett, they have the same vested interest that you all have. So I think this is a really good point. And I can, like I said, I'll talk to Barry about this because he was the author of most of this guidelines. So I think we can get it on next meeting and the month after and get it resolved and fixed. But I think it's a really good point. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. If there's no further discussion on this item, I'd like to move on. Thank you. The next item is review comments and suggestions about the draft area plan guidance. Recently, Leslie Snell sent an email to Catherine Slattery and me, and it included the draft area plan guidelines and the area plan boundary information draft JWW from 8/2/2020. And she stated that any comments that your group may have, she wanted to receive them. So on October 6th, I sent you copies and asked for comments. And thanks to Lars Soderberg, he was able to use some kind of program to convert a PDF, which is what was sent to us, into a Word document. And then in the intervening time, the members of the work group who felt like making comments on specific portions and items in the draft guidelines sent them in. And I included them. I cut and pasted and I said, comment. And I pasted their entire comment in without attribution that Bruce Mandel said this or somebody else said that. It's just a comment. And it's for exactly what Leslie asked for. And apparently she wants it for the next NPEDC meeting where they're going to review the comments and then try to finalize the draft document. But she asked for it to be sent several days ahead of that meeting so it could be included in a packet. And I think she wants the packet by the 19th. So my intent is to tell you today, and I've shared the comment documents that are compiled with you, and Joe, I can send a copy to you too, but Leslie just asked for the group's comments. I can send that to you if you want it.
Yes, please.
My intent was to send this to Leslie Snell on Monday so that she could have it in time to put it in her packet.
Bruce, I think you included it in what you sent out this morning. Joe, you may have
Yes.
it.
I don't think I sent it to Joe because I wasn't sure of his status or if he wanted to be in the meeting. But I will send this to him right after the meeting. It's a 7-page document, and it's just the draft area plan guidelines. We didn't try to edit the 2020 background document because that was basically just for information purposes. So those comments are included in this document for whatever they're worth. I think some of them are worthy of discussion and some of them are just notations like, hey, you spelt this word wrong or something like that. So does anybody want to discuss that further, or can I have a motion that would authorize me to send this response to Leslie on Monday? Leslie Snell.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. So I guess there were two so moved, so one of them is going to be a second. And
who are those people? Who moved? I didn't catch a voice.
Michael
I
moved
think
it.
Lars
I'll-
and Michael both so moved.
Lars and
So,
Michael. I'm happy to take a back seat to Michael and be the second.
Okay, good news.
no, I want the second.
Can we discuss it now that we've made a motion to send it?
Please.
I do have some, just like that previous comment that Kitty initiated about, is she included, is she a voter or not? There's another part of the guidelines that says anybody already serving in leadership positions in the town for a work group membership, the NPEDC may opt to not select that person. And I just don't know what kind of, I don't mean a person, but what kind of position that describes. Who are we talking about here? Are we talking about, we can't have, Roberto Santa Maria because on the committee, even if he lives in Madaket? Joe, do you have any sense of what that qualification, what kind of position that's pointing to?
I think a really good reference would be Stephen Welch. He was on the HDC and he was on the planning board, but now he is the assistant building inspector. So when the open seat came up for the planning board, he could not run because he works for the town. So there's just, who was the other one? I think the police chief was on a board and he had to be removed. The DPW director was on a board and they had to be removed. So it's just trying to keep church and state, if you will, kind of separate, is my understanding, Leslie.
Leslie, the item that you mentioned, and I'm going to read it, okay?
Yes,
The
please.
MP may at its discretion, we said, opt to not select individuals who are already serving in leadership positions in town for work group membership. Comment, that does not preclude them from attending the work group meetings. Is that the comment you're addressing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we sent, or about to send, a comment to Leslie that says, please provide an example of a person position that this describes. It is unclear what is meant. And another comment that someone made was, this runs counter to what has already been okayed by planning. Our advisory group members include such personnel. So those two comments are going to Leslie. If you'd like me to add another comment to that, and I think I sent this to you, Leslie.
Yes, I'm
I'm
reading.
happy to enter it over the weekend.
I don't know, I just, the joke here,
Mhm.
or that I wanted to, well, to explain that since if you're not in the middle of the NPDC drafting these guidelines and you come to them later, there's some parts that are not very clear. So for instance, something that appeared to me there is that Bill Greeter, who is not on this committee by any means, but he is the chair of the Roads and Rights of Way Committee, which is a town function.
Mhm.
So would someone like Bill Greeter, because he chairs the Roads and Rights of Way, not be allowed or would be questioned as to whether he could be on the Madaket area work group, even though he's quite a Madaket investor, so to speak? And as I read this, that could be a problem. I think that statement needs to be more clear. I understand police chief, that makes a lot of sense, but there's a lot of people who volunteer in leadership positions for government. And once a volunteer, always a volunteer, you know. Jessie Bell, she's the head of the land bank. We want land bank on, the land bank is a town entity. So can she not be on our NPEDC?
And they own lots of property here.
We're screening these guidelines, trying to figure out what it means. And here, this is one that perhaps, Joe, you could clear up with other NPEDC meetings, since we have you here and we've not been able to schedule a chat.
Just
Yeah.
on that point as well, at the last meeting, I had suggested that maybe it would be productive to have a smaller representative group from this group meet with a smaller representative group from NPEDC. And my understanding from your comments, Joe, and then subsequent comments, I think from Leslie Snell, that was considered to be a good idea. And we just thought, in the interest of efficiency, since you're looking at even without the comments, a 4-page document or whatever, to work its way through, share some thinking and see where points of contention were, areas where clarity was sought, and so forth. We thought that was something we're tracking to, was going to happen. And I thought before the next NPEDC meeting, so that there's some clarity, maybe more clarity, between NPEDC and this group as to either confusion or disagreement or whatever, just to make it a more productive discussion. And also, we didn't want to wake up and the day after the meeting and discover things were voted on that was never discussed.
Agreed. No, and listen, I mean, we were talking about hopefully trying to get together next week, and that'd be great. But my understanding is that it's a town employees. That's what they were really trying to control. Or there was just sometimes crossing the department. So that's what my understanding is, what that would be. So, I think that Bill is fine being the chair and he could be on this, but we should meet and we could sit down with Mary Longacre and Leslie and myself and, kind of have this hatch us out. So
Yeah, tighten it up.
and I wish I had that letter with all your comments, because I would have been able to not that I'm flying over the seat of my pants here, but I
I just sent it out.
It's all good, Bill. No, it's fine. It's all good. I can understand why you did it.
I got back late last night from chemo and I tried to get all the stuff out. And Leslie, in the same section, the next item says the work group shall not appoint members of professional organizations that are not directly government related. Such organizations may be used on a consulting basis, however, only with initial approval of the EDC. And that kind of ties into the item you just mentioned, Leslie. And one of our comments was define professional organizations. Some of us already work for such organizations. Make clear what types of organizations are to be excluded. And then another comment says, please provide an example of a person position that this describes. It's unclear what's meant. And then another comment talks about part of the mission of the amended updated area plan is to have the document function as guidelines to MPDC and other entities in the preservation of our unique, and it goes into describing historic characters and whatnot. And these are comments that I'm compiling from the other members of the work group. So Joe and Leslie, I think both of these are a fodder for the chat meeting we're trying to set up.
I'll make a quick suggestion just for efficiency. Joe, if, through Michael, if you can arrange a meeting and Michael and anyone that wants to show up, the motion on the table is, can we send these comments, I forget her name, but into
Leslie Snell.
Leslie Snell, but anyway, into Leslie. Let's if we want to, let's do that. And then Joe, if we really can have a sit-down meeting to walk through these comments or ideas, then I think we can move on. That would be great.
Great.
Joe, when I send this to you later, if I haven't been clear in posting the comments, and remember, they're kind of verbatim. I tried not to edit anybody's comments unless the comment was totally irrelevant to what we're trying to accomplish. Just let me know and I'll walk you through them, but I'd like to send them to Leslie because it sounded kind of urgent that she gets them in some kind of a packet that she wants to send out next week.
Yeah, and I have to be in Madaket tomorrow because we're redoing the front porch at the Admiralty. So if I have any questions, I can call you and we could meet. But
I can come over there. Great.
Yeah.
Are you bringing tools?
No, I'm bringing an ACC permit, and I don't have an emergency building permit because the whole front porch is rotten. But anyways, sorry, off topic. Sorry.
That's okay. We're glad to have you helping us. You're a good member. Okay, so can we have a motion then? I guess we'll
Have the motion. We have the motion. The motion is we authorize Bruce Mandel to send the comments along with the area plan guidelines to Leslie Snell before by Monday, before the next NPEDC meeting, in time to get in the packet.
Yes, and say something in there that she requested the comments.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah, Bruce, I would just put everything in there, and then she can edit or take out. Sure. And she posted. I think just give everything and then we can kind of alter it.
Yeah, the whole idea was to collect the comments, not that she would embrace them and move them forward.
No, and I think it's for the discussion and then she can post it after we have a discussion.
And I'm wondering, Joe, just as an aside, if any of the other 6 area plan groups that are involved in the town master plan, if any of those groups have been asked for comments.
Not at this level. I think that you are the most focused that I know right now. And I don't mean any disrespect to anyone.
How about Monomoy? Did the Monomoy send more comments?
Very little.
Okay.
And I also want to say that this guideline was created at the end of the Monomoy guideline. It was almost simultaneously. Well, I actually think the guidelines came out after. So they had a little more free range, if we will.
Yeah, they kind of started back when Judith Wagner was there and,
Well, let's vote. Let's vote and move on.
but
Yeah,
okay,
let's move
Yes.
this on.
okay.
Yeah, Carl.
A yay vote will allow me to forward these responses to Leslie as she requested. Tom Erickson,
Sounds good.
Wait. Have we seconded, or I guess we
Yes.
did,
We
that's
had
right, okay.
You and Lars.
Leslie Forbes,
Yes,
Peter Heffenreffer,
Yes,
David Madigan,
Yes,
Bruce Mandel, yes, Michael Maynard,
Yes,
Kitty Puckman,
Yes,
Lars Soderberg,
Yes.
and Joe Topham.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda, and we're getting close to our 1 hour, but it's good, we're gonna be done soon, is the discussion of area plans, and this goes back to basically when we first started discussing the amended plan, and there are like 6 or 7 chapters, plus a mission statement and a revised boundary and things like that. Members volunteered to work on these. And I just wanted to reach out to those members again, because it's been 3 years, that they had expressed interest in this. And are they still interested in pursuing this so we can develop those chapters and merge them? And then, of course, Catherine Slattery would like to work on a document called Building with Madaket in Mind, and we would like to reference that in the area plan as well. So I would just, what I'm basically looking for from the committee is authorization to reach out to the committee members to see if they're still interested in those particular areas.
sure. That doesn't need a vote, I presume.
Say again, David?
That does not need a vote, I presume.
I'm not sure. I'm rookie at this.
I think it
I
does.
don't know. Why would it? Just the meeting decides.
Right. I think you can send it.
Okay, thank you. That's what I'll do. And that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, if I could find my paper, to the discussion of future meeting dates. And you know, I had suggested to Joe some dates that were in conflict with NPDC's meetings. And I subsequently wrote to him telling him that I found a document, Diana sent me some papers, that in 2020, the committee voted to have meetings on the second Friday of each month from 4 to 5:30. So I asked Bill Greeter to lock those in to the Zoom time slots that the town had, which he did. And of course, we can cancel a meeting with 2 weeks' notice, I believe it is, in case that meeting is not necessary. So I just wanted to tell everyone, we're going back to what the work group actually voted on as their meetings, rather than something just Bruce plucked out of the air. I don't think that requires a vote because we've already voted to approve those dates years ago. Anybody have any comments?
No, I think that's good.
I do. I just, well, Joe Topham is here, maybe he knows. Do you have to cancel a meeting 2 weeks in advance, or can you cancel it sooner than?
I misspoke. It's 24 hours, and there's a template that the town uses, and Bill Greeter has the template.
Okay. 24 hours is a little better than 2 weeks.
Yeah, I misspoke. I'm sorry.
And
Thank you.
I also have a question for Bill Greeter, if he's listening.
I'm listening, damn it.
So Bill, for our last meeting, it was quite a challenge for you as a volunteer from the local area to actually make the meeting happen. And you had to involve NCTV and everybody. And you made it very clear that we couldn't really go forward unless the town provided support. This meeting has gone very smoothly, and I'm wondering if we are closer to the going smoothly, or we're closer to the mess that we had before.
Well, thanks for following up on that. So, yes, it is going smoothly. I actually compliment all of you on paying attention and muting yourself and whatever. there is still an issue with the town Zoom channels, as far as credentials to be able to get in, to create an agenda and all of that stuff. And it is very cumbersome, awkward, and at times impossible, not being a town employee to get in there to do that. So the major boards, select board, Board of Health, HTC, whatever, they all use NCTV, which is contractual to be the facilitator. That's not the case in at least this committee, and I don't know about the town committee. And so what happens is, because of the credential refreshing, because of the security level they have chosen, periodically, actually rather frequently, the credentials are voided. And so when you go to log in to reserve a space, adjust the schedule, whatever, or even facilitate to start the meeting, it comes up with a thing saying we don't recognize you, and you have 20 seconds to respond to a code that's sent to an administrator. The administrators up until recently have been well, I guess it still is, the IT department and Erica. The IT department is off doing IT things and not always available for the 20-second turnaround. Nor do they have the ability to get in touch with whoever it is that's trying to log in. So if I try to log in, the system says that you got 20 seconds to put in the code. So what I've done to try to get around that is, I logged in yesterday to make sure my code was okay, or my access was okay. And I did it this morning at 8 o'clock, and I did it again at 3 o'clock, just to make sure. If the facilitator cannot log in to start the meeting, you can't go forward with the process. Much to my chagrin, this happened with roads and right-of-ways, where I do the same thing, and reach out to NCTV, and they are not authorized to do that. So it's been referred to the IT department. I've yet to hear back what the workaround is, if any. Failing that, at some point, when I'm successful with a Powerball, you'll find it very difficult for me to carve out time to log in. I may hire a staff to log in for you if I get the big Powerball, but there clearly needs to be a process. If the town is going to rely on volunteers to do stuff, there needs to be a way for that to happen. The volunteers shouldn't have to spend hours trying to finagle a bagel to get in to do stuff. So, you know, the biggest hurdle for volunteerism to conduct that is to deal with that issue. Recognizing, you know, everybody's worried about security and whatever, but that's something that needs to be addressed. And Joe has his hand up, so maybe he's going to tell me something's been done.
No, Leslie, do you want to go first?
No, I want to, you're the one I want to hear from, so let's go.
Okay. So I was on an ACC meeting and it got hijacked, and there was 20 people and a lot of curse words, etc. So they ramped up all the rules and guidelines and security and etc. But Bill, I have a pretty good rapport with one of the gentlemen at the IT department. I did bring your comment to Leslie and Megan, and they said they were going to reach out. But I think that you or I should just contact them directly. And now that we have a schedule based on the information that Diane has given us, then what I can do is have Danny at the IT department is half hour before the meeting, give you a call, get this all squared away. And if you're not available, then someone else becomes the host or the controls the meeting. So, but I think if you're controlling two committees, that's kind of a problem. So, and I think something that you should not be stressing out for a day and a half or 2 days worried about that this is going to come off.
The main thing is to address it, and however that is. And actually, I think it's very difficult for a chair or anybody on the committee to facilitate, because if you're participating in the meeting, you're not paying attention to what's going on. So I'm glad that, you know, that they're gonna try to do a workaround. And it's one of the reasons way back that I stepped back from being on the committee. I'm very happy to not be involved in the map committee because I don't want it to be assumed that it's an MCA structured committee, where I'm the president of the association. So I would never foresee myself being on the map committee because I'm the president of the MCA group. So I think it needs to be, I think this group needs to have its own identity and do what it's going to do so that it's a committee decision and not something that MCA as an entity, you know, tried to structure or whatever. That isn't the intent of the map process, and it's certainly not the intent of MCA to try to ram this through. So that'd be great.
So my point in asking this was, you know, just so that particularly Joe, which could have a viewpoint from the trenches, when you work on a town committee with a town staff person, all of this just happens magically because you have those wonderful people working. But just like, you know, I think it's important that the NPDC understand what it takes to make things happen from the field, so to speak, and what the misunderstandings can happen when reading guidelines that are very clear to people who develop them, but for people who are looking at them and putting them in context with what they do, they become murky. So I think that's part of the conversation that needs to happen. And I wanted to make sure that you understand we are successful at this, at the technology part of this, due to hours of volunteer time and an innate understanding and knowledge already in place in the person of Bill Greeter. And he is an unpaid volunteer who loves Madaket. So thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Well, I also, Joe, just so you know, that I think it's really strange that NCTV, who's been hired by the town to run the Zoom stuff for town committees, you know, select board, whatever, is not able to authorize credentials. So if, for example, if I run into a thing and it says, oh, you need reauthorization, NCTV can't do it. And so they've asked for that. And if at this point, the last I heard was they haven't figured a way around that. So, I mean, I think that's really key. If it's a consultant and is doing the work of the town, then why the heck shouldn't they be able to run the whole shebang?
I agree, because in most meetings, their NCTV sets it up and then they kind of go into the background. And so, yeah, and I mean, CPC, all that, everything I've ever been on, it seems seamless, but for some reason we just need to figure out what's going on for the advisory boards and area plans and go from there. But I'll have a conversation with Erica and I'll talk to Danny at IT. And
especially for the meetings that occur after the IT group shuts down. That's where the real crunch really comes in. After Erica's gone home, and it must take her an hour to leave the room because she has to take off so many hats that she wears. But between her and you know, and IT shutting down after 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, it's no man's land. So thank you for that.
I'll call you tomorrow, Bill. We'll work on something.
I'll see you over at the club.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. We're about to seek a motion to adjourn. I just wanted to take a moment to say, first of all, thank you to everybody for putting up with me getting organized as a chairperson. And I appreciate that. If we can organize this chat meeting, we've just had a good discussion on perhaps a couple of items for an agenda for that chat, Joe. What Bill just mentioned, and I'd like to mention that The surveys with comments have been sent. Joe, I believe I sent them to you to be forwarded on.
Sure.
And I would like to compliment Joe, and I've notified all of you this morning about this. Joe has recommended the town hosting a Copeland and Page seminars on open meeting laws, guidelines, public records, and Robert's rules and Bruce's rules. And he provided us with several links that we could take advantage of ourselves. They're kind of long. I looked at them, 3 of them. They're all over an hour long, and that's just scanning through them. They're basically PowerPoint slides, and they obviously had discussions of each slide, so they would be good to try to organize. And there was another topic, regulating comments at public meetings and de-escalating strategies for uncivilized discourse. That was a great link also. And you made a comment there that MMA is a great resource. I'm assuming that's the municipal something or other in town government, but
Yeah, and that was sent from Erica Mooney's office or desk.
it was sent where?
From Erica Mooney.
So
But
that's great. I just wanted to make sure that, Joe, you knew I shared that. I didn't share it as timely as I would have liked to, but everyone's got it now. And again, I'd like to compliment everybody for being here. Kitty, thank you. We have 2 kitties here. And the rest of you, Lars, Leslie, Joe, Peter, Michael, Tom, David, and especially Bill Greeter for his hard work, keeping me straight, getting organized for this. So at this point,
Bruce, I would like to thank you for stepping up. It's a big job, a lot of work, and you're doing a great job.
I got
So
sand.
thank you.
Thank you.
No, you did a great job, Bruce.
Okay, thank you.
You know, we used to call you the mayor of Madaket. Now it may become official. I'm not sure. We'll see.
I'm sorry, that title belongs to Mr. Greeter. But
Well, there could be a runoff. This could be an interesting competition.
great. I would now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before you do that, I'd just like to, one more time, just put it on the table that ideally, if we could organize the chat this week by Zoom with a small group. I think we're talking about possibly Bruce and Leslie and myself at our end, and whomever, Joe, you, and whoever else from MPEDC.
Mary had suggested Barry Rector was nodding his head, so I assume that meant he wanted to be in the chat.
Yes. No, I think it was a good conversation.
Ideally, if we could do it before the 19th, before the meeting or the deadline, whatever, for the submission.
She's putting a packet together, yes.
Yeah.
Well, whenever they can do it at their convenience, and I'd like to circulate amongst our entire work group, if any of you have items that you are concerned about trying to clear up misunderstandings or whatnot, beyond the comments that we pass along, let me know so I can pass them on to Leslie and Michael, and perhaps make an agenda for the chat. So thank you for that, Michael. Okay, I'm still looking for a motion to have a cocktail. So
Second.
Thank you. Who made the
Aye.
Michael and Kitty. Thank you, everybody. Let's have do I hear any discussion about adjourning at this time? No. Okay.
I think so. It's
You
by acclamation.
want to do it by acclamation, or do I have to read everybody's name?
Got to read it.
Acclamation.
Okay, everybody voted yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you, Bruce. Thanks for everything. Bye.
Take
Good
care.
weekend.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bill Greeter.